sight when she walked through that door. The most beautiful girl I'd ever seen before. Sea green eyes and long blonde hair, cool smooth smile and didn't have a care. I don't know why, but she walked my way. I was scared to death, but I was ready to play. Love at first sight sets the spirit free. I felt the dark clouds part, I heard the angels sing. My heart caught fire and my soul can fly. That's when I knew I had to make her mine. 2 days passed before I made that call. I was hoping for the best, but I was ready to fall. At 3 a.m. we were still on that phone. We both agreed that we were tired of being alone. Our first date led to our first kiss. I closed my eyes and tasted her sweet lips. Love's first touch sets the spirit free. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. Once again, I am ill prepared for the show, but we're going to do it anyway. I've been out fishing. Today's April 8th, and I just want to let you know that a couple of big things happened in my life today, and we're going to get into that. But we're talking about blind spots. So hello, everybody. Welcome to the big show. My name is Mickey, and this is Mickey in the Middle, the quintessential show for Middle Americans, where all Middle Americans are welcome. Doesn't matter where you've been, doesn't matter where you go. It just matters that you're here right now. So thank you very much for tuning in. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate everybody being here. So we're going to be talking about blind spots. Everybody has blind spots. I've got blind spots. You have blind spots. Those are things that you don't see that are in our lives and that we don't necessarily pay attention to because we don't want to pay attention to them, or we just don't know things. Things come up all the time that I don't know, and I'm not ashamed to say that I don't know things. So whenever things come up, I just want to figure things out. So today we're going to be talking about blind spots. So that's the way that it goes. Carolyn, how are you? Hello. My week is going good. Thank you very much for asking. How is your week? Matter of fact, everybody can pitch in and tell me how your week was right there in the chat. Greatly appreciate that. All right, so let's kick off the show, and then we're going to be talking about blind spots. All right, so here we go. We're going to go click on this. We're going to go, hey, we the people, acknowledgement to the Constitution of the United States of America. World population is 8 billion. There's 348 million people. And we're $39 in debt. So these are some of the things that happen in the news today. And release date shifts again. Hey, how about Diddy? Hello, where am I? My screen is stuck. All right, there we go. So I got rid of Diddy. All right. So anyway, hey, welcome. So I just found out today. All right, let's start off by this. Today is the 8th year anniversary that my beautiful wife Tanya passed away. So that is sad, and I just want to acknowledge that she was the love of my life. There's nobody that's better than her. She was perfect for me. And yeah, it makes me sad that she's not here anymore. So, but I want everybody to know that I believe in God and I believe in Jesus and I believe that she's in heaven. So I need everybody to know that. So I've always known about religion. I haven't known about religion, but I always knew that there was a higher power, and I always knew that there was something out there. And then when I came to understand that it was Jesus and the way to heaven is through Jesus, That's what I came to understand. And you got to do things with love. Now, I wasn't always in a loving mood. I've been angry a lot in my life, but I just want to let you know I try to do better every single day, and that's the way that Jesus is. Kind of like live your life like Jesus, and ask for forgiveness, and away you go. Uh, so anyway, I believe that Tanya's in heaven. But I also found out today that a friend of mine, and I don't know who knows this, so I'm not going to mention any names, but uh, a friend of mine that we were very, very close when we were in the United States military. I don't know who's been notified of this, so I'm not going to say the name because I'm not going to be that person online. But I just want to let everybody know that if you do know, uh, pray for that individual's family because they passed away today and it was totally unexpected. They have left this planet too soon. And if in a couple of days you don't know who I'm talking about, feel free to message me if you have my information. I'll be more than happy to tell you what I have been told. Uh, Not many people in Arkansas know who this individual is. I knew him a little bit at Arkansas, but mainly in special operations community. And you just never know when you're going to go. And that's why we need to do love. That's why we have to talk about what's going on in the world and about how we make the world a better place for everybody. Because right now, there is too many cases of gaslighting that's going on, and I don't understand what was everybody's picked a side, right? We are all supposed to be on the same side. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the fact that I've got all these friends that are on the left and how many friends I got on the right-hand side. But I got friends on both sides of every single issue. And I'm going to tell you what, most of those people are not going to budge. And as soon as you say whatever the issue is, you know exactly where they stand, whether it makes sense or not. And they're not coming off of their positions, and they're not going to give any sense of winning to the other side. They're so caught up in their side winning that they cannot ever see anything else. And a lot of this has to do with the polarity that has been in our political system since, I don't know, after Reagan. Everybody seemed to be kind of on board with what Reagan was doing. He's very popular across all cultures, right? There wasn't this huge divide between Republicans, Democrats. And then Bill Clinton came along in the 1990s. And you know what happened in the 1990s? We had a heyday. You want to know why? Because Bill Clinton was a Democrat and he was the president of the United States. And instead of trying to destroy him all the way up and down, when he had an affair with Monica Lewinsky, everybody went, "Oh, Bill, come on, man, don't do that." And then some Republicans went after Bill hard. Now, I would like to remind you that during that time, Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House. And Newt Gingrich came up with 10 things that they could do. It was a contract with America, the 10 things that they wanted to do for America, and that all passed. And we were living in the heyday when Bill Clinton was president of the United States, before the whole Monica Lewinsky thing went down. Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House, and the world was great. And then after that, everything went to hell in a handbasket. Now, I know that in 2001, the towers came down after Bill Clinton was the president of the United States. The towers came down 2001, and that changed a lot of things in America. But a lot of people started going after Bush after that. After the initial honeymoon, everybody started going after Bush. And then they started going after Obama. And then because Obama was a very, very controversial figure, with the way that he treated race relations in America and the way that he treated healthcare and the opposing side. He had little to no respect for people on the other side. Although he talked a great game, his actions were totally different. So Barack Obama talked the talk, but did not walk the walk. He was the best politician for telling you one thing and doing another thing. And if you go back and you watched every single day of Barack Obama's presidency and you reviewed what he said every day and what they did every single day, you would go, holy shit, I did not know that Barack Obama was talking out of one side of his mouth and doing stuff totally opposite out of the other behind the scenes. So I personally believe that this great big huge divide started after Clinton went through Bush and manifested itself in Barack Obama. And ever since then, we haven't been able to get on the same side. And that means that everybody's got this hate for each other, and you got to pick a side. Now, when Trump came to the president, that kind of really did it, because this is what happened. And this is why we're talking about blind spots. The news reported that Trump said, grab them by the P. And although it was a private conversation, in there, he was also not well liked by a lot of people because of the way that he handled the Miss America pageant. And he had been accused of rape on multiple occasions. And he had said some things that made some people mad. But prior to him coming down the escalator, everybody loved him. Everybody loved Donald Trump. He was the apprentice guy. He hung out with Jesse Jackson. He hung out with boxers. He hung out with wrestlers. He was world renowned for being Donald Trump. And all of a sudden, when he came down, all of a sudden, all of this mud started getting slung at him, and people picked sides. And then Charlottesville happened. And it was reported that he said that there were fine people on both sides, although one side was neo-Nazis. He was saying, it was reported that he was saying over and over and over and over and over that he was saying that neo-Nazis are fine people. If you watch the tape, that's not what he said. As a matter of fact, he said, and I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the skinheads, they should be condemned totally. He said that, and it's on tape. But ever since he was accused of rape, ever since he came down the escalator, and ever since the Charlottesville thing and the grab him by the P thing, he's been the most controversial political figure in the United States of America. As a result of that, it does not matter what Donald Trump does. People are going to hate him. People hate him. People hate him. People hate him. People hate him. Because he wants to do what's best for America, other people love him. And he says that. Now, as far as I'm concerned, that puts people in two camps. They're the I love Donald Trump camp and I hate Donald Trump camp. And there's a huge gap in the middle between those people. And that's where I'm talking about blind spots. And because blind spots mean that no matter how good of an idea somebody has, you have to reject it just because it's on the wrong side of a line that imaginary line that you drew in the sand. If anything comes out of Donald Trump's mouth, it can be, hey, look here, everybody gets ice cream after dessert on Sunday. Half the people would hate them. Half the people would hate the idea that people get cake and ice cream on Sunday after dinner. And then we go, oh my God, it's bad for you. Oh my God, do you know what he's going to do for diabetes? Oh my gosh, you know how fat America is going to get? Do you know that how much it's going to cost the American public in order to give everybody ice cream? Half the people are going to hate it just because it's Donald Trump saying it. They can't give him any credit for anything. What brought this about is a conversation I was having on Facebook. It's kind of hard for me to describe the conversation because I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. However, one of the people was saying that the war in Iran was not a good thing And I was like, yeah, the war in Iran's not a good thing. And then I made light of something that somebody said, and I said, "You're right." Uh, so it was a quote by Donald Trump about bombing Iran back to the Stone Age, and that they're effing crazy bastards. And everybody went, "Oh my goodness, you're not allowed to cuss if you're the president of the United States." And somebody put, "Can you imagine if Barack Obama said this?" And my response was, Obama would have just droned them and moved on or something like that. It was a smart ass response. But that's the way that I viewed Barack Obama. He would just drone them because everybody acts like if you're on the left hand side, you act like Barack Obama was the greatest thing ever and Donald Trump's the enemy. And if you're on the right hand side, way on the right hand side, you act like Donald Trump is the greatest and Barack Obama is the enemy. Also on the right is Donald Trump is the greatest and Hillary Clinton is the enemy. And every single time that Clinton or Obama or one of the surrogates of the Democratic Party says something, everybody on the right's got to hate them. And every time that Trump or anybody on the right-hand side, like Kash Patel or Bondi, well, she's been fired, or any of the other people that work for Trump, anytime that they say something, Tulsi Gabbard, that crew, automatically that has to be dismissed. So we started talking. And I started notice, and the conversation goes on, and then somebody goes, "Well, apparently you need more information and you have blind spots." We all have blind spots. So what I'm doing is I'm now looking at this news set of news that balances the left and right so that I have fewer blind spots. And my response was 2 pages. It was huge. Here's what the problem is. I know I have blind spots. But you know what I don't have? I don't have a closed mind. I have an open mind. So I don't care whether a good idea comes from Obama or Clinton or Trump or Bondi or you or somebody else. I evaluate it on the merits. There's been a lot going on in the United States of America ever since Trump took over. You got the Ukraine war. You got the thing with Israel. You had peace breaking out all over the place. And all of a sudden, we had this great big huge thing about a year after Trump took over called the Iran war. Trump immediately started declaring victory. We went in, started declaring victory right off the bat. When people came out and said, "Hey, we haven't won this thing yet," I was like, we have not won this thing yet. Iranians are going to be resilient. The country is huge. I put out a post that said, or I put out a message that said, if this piece of paper is Iran, each bomb is like the head of this pen. It's just one little speck. That's all of this is Iran. And you can drop 1,000 little specks on this piece of paper all over, and most of Iran is going to survive because it's so huge that even if you hit 10,000 targets, you still haven't done a lot of damage to Iran. You can blow up their navy. You can blow up all of their boats because they got let's say that they had 200 boats. You can blow up 200 boats. But you can't get all of the army. You can't get all of the people. You can't get all of the missiles. You can't get all of the drones. You can't get all of the other things. So Trump declaring victory was premature, and he bombed the crap out of them. But he kept saying it's victorious. We're victory. Yay. And then somebody gets shot down. And that's ridiculous. Because if we won, nobody should have gotten shot down. Inside of that conversation, the person said a lot of things that I totally disagree with, and I want to go over some of those things now because it is all BS. Eventually, the conversation went totally off track because nobody can stay on track anymore. If you say something about Trump being negative in a war and saying that he's going to bomb them back to the Stone Age, and he cusses on one of his ex posts or one of his posts of a Truth Social or something like that, all of a sudden now it becomes Trump is a misogynist. Trump hates black people. Trump is a child. Trump is an orange man. They can't stay on track. And in this case, it came down to somebody claimed that the right wanted to make women subservient. That's what the claim was. Well, people on the right want to make women subservient. And I was like, what do you mean people on the right? That's bullshit. Not people on the right. Maybe a couple people on the right, but that's not going to happen. They want to take the vote away from women. I'm like, that has absolutely nothing to do with the conversation that we're having about Trump bombing them back to the Stone Age. And all of a sudden, you are blinded by the fact that you think that the people on the right are trying to make women subservient, trying to take the vote away from women with the SAVE Act. And you're saying, oh, women don't know how to get documentation in order to vote. So that means that they can never do that. So that means that you're trying to, you hate women and black people. Everybody knows that Trump hates women and black people. You got to be kidding me. We went from Trump bombing Iran to the Stone Age to the right hates women and black people. Here's my response. No, there's a narrative from some about men and women in traditional roles in a family. It's not a fantasy about women being subservient to men. It has to do with family dynamics, providing for a family and raising children. But people twist that into dominating men and forced subservient women. We do not have forced marriages in the United States of America. As a matter of fact, 50% of marriages end in divorce, which means that women have a say. It's not possible in Iran. And they were trying to equate what's going on in Iran and the theocracy that's running Iran to people on the right. They were trying to equate people on the right to what is happening in Islam when somebody is a woman in Islam and has to wear a burqa and has to wear a hijab and has to be subservient to men and can't drive without permission of a man, cannot vote without permission of a man, cannot get education without permission of a man, and have to be separate in the mosque. So if you go into a mosque, you have a man's side and you have a woman's side. All the men conduct all of the business and the men run all of the things, and that's where the imam is. And on the other side, that's where the women hang out and they pray separately from the men. And the person that was saying that, hey, we shouldn't be bombing Iran because the people on the right in this country are exactly like the people over in Iran, and that's bullshit. I don't have a blind spot. That is bullshit. It's like the trans conversation. Well, trans people are just trying to be people. Yeah, until you have somebody that's 18 years old and is 6'5" and has been building muscles their entire life, and all of a sudden now they want to be a woman. Now, there's no definition for woman. What a woman is whatever you want a woman to be. So I can be a woman. All I have to say is I want to be a woman and I can be a woman. Well, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't mean that I have a blind spot. It just means that that person has a penis. I'm not blind. I can see the penis. Well, you don't believe in trans rights. Well, no, I do believe in trans rights. They have the right to say whatever they want to say because that's guaranteed by the First Amendment. They can do the press. They can be the press. They have freedom of religion. They have freedom to gather. They have freedom to vote. They have freedom to be a citizen. They have freedom to not be hassled by the government and have the government go through their stuff. There are amended constitutional amendments, the Fifth Amendment of you don't have to uh, interrogate yourself, right? You don't have to say that you're guilty. You don't have to testify against yourself. You don't have to have your family testify against you. You get the right to counsel. Those are the rights that all of the people are talking about. You don't have the right to put on boxing gloves and go beat up somebody of a lesser uh, physical stature. That's what the problem is. I'm not blind about this stuff. You go, Robert F. Kennedy's crazy. You haven't listened to Robert F. Kennedy then. Robert F. Kennedy, you just say that because Robert F. Kennedy had aligned himself with Trump, and all of a sudden you say everything that he says is bad. He never said that vaccines, that nobody should have a vaccine. Robert F. Kennedy never said that, although it's been reported that he hates it. All of his kids have been vaccinated, and all he said was there's no research studies that have been done. That's not a blind spot. There's no research. He wants to take food away from kids. No, he wants to take bad food out of the lunch program in schools, and he wants to replace it with apples and oranges and bananas and healthy other food like chicken and fish. Who has blind spots? That's what the big question is. Who has the blind spots that people are accusing me of having? It's mind-blowing how somebody can say you have blind spots when the blind spots that you're talking about are so unbelievably obvious that when you make a statement as if a statement is fact, that when you say the right is just as bad, the people on the right are just as bad as people in the theocracy in Iran, that is obviously wrong. It's not a blind spot to me if I say I disagree with that. So that's what I want you to do. I want you just to watch out for your blind spots. See if you have any blind spots. See where you line up. Because here's what the deal is. The people on the left and the people on the right, we both have blind spots. But we also have to understand that we are all on the same side. We're on the same side. We want the same things. Now, it was just announced that the war in Iran is going to be on a two-week ceasefire. That's good. I don't believe that anything good is going to happen in the 2 weeks. I believe that we're going to bomb them again because I believe that Iran is going to say, hey, look here, we're not going to do this. And then they're going to kill another 50,000 of their own people in order to maintain power, because the people in Iran are going to go, we're sick of the theocracy. We're going to take over. The theocracy still has all the guns, and they're going to kill another 50,000 other human beings because they're bad people. There's no equating the government of Iran with any other government in the United States or in the world. They're bad. They're horrible. They need to be taken out. I think I'm done ranting. But the whole idea of this is, please watch out for your blind spots. Please be aware that you have to be well thought out, and you cannot have this cognitive dissonance where you are uncomfortable with the idea that somebody else might be right. Because I'm telling you right now, other people can be right that hold a different view than you. And we can compromise and we can come up with good policies if we all work together. But we have to realize that first, we're all on the same team, and we have to have a discussion so that we can now discuss how we should move forward with all of these issues. How should we move forward with Iran? How should we move forward with China? How should we move forward with monetary policy? How should we move forward with trans rights, securing elections, with the advent of AI coming about us, it should take all of us to solve these problems. And we can't do that if immediately we pick a side based on what our news sources are. So I want you to hang with me, and I want you to understand that we still live in the greatest country in the history of the world. It's still the greatest country in the history of the world. And we're very young. This is only our 250th year. We got the Constitution of the United States of America. This is a handy dandy pocketbook. If you don't have this little book, you need to get one. You need to read this. This is nothing special. This is just how our government is formed. But it also says that we're allowed to say whatever we want. It's in the First Amendment of the Constitution, which I shall read. The right of the people to be... Oh, wait a minute. That's the Fourth Amendment. Sorry. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of a religion, prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or the press, or the right of the people to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Those are your rights. What I'm asking you to do is have the freedom to listen and then empathize with what the other persons are saying, so that you can now have a dialogue that says, okay, I understand exactly what you're saying. We're going to go back to the Covey Institute, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, where one of the first things that you talk about is seek to understand the other person, and then seek to be understood by the other person, and then talk about the differences so that you can both have a win-win situation. So if you have not read the book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey, you need to get that book. They make it for kids. They make it for young adults. They make it for leaders. They're all basically the same thing. But the first thing is seek to understand, seek to be understood, and then seek to find a solution that is a win-win solution for both sides. We can do it because we're Americans. We're all about that compromise thing. So without further ado, that's it. This has been Mickey in the Middle. Remember to like, share, hit the notification bell. Remember, I love you. You guys have a great night. Big shout out to my friend who passed away. Big shout out to my beautiful wife, Tanya, on the 8th year of her passing this earth. Glad that she's in heaven, dancing on the streets of gold. Like, share, hit the notification bell that every time it pops up. Thank you very much for coming. Carolyn, I am glad that your grandsons are on spring break and they've been at your house a lot. That is absolutely awesome. They've been doing chalk drawings on my cement driveway, plus been card games and board games. That is awesome. And then Carolyn says, I have that book. I am so glad that you do have that book. So you guys all have a great night out there. Absolutely love you to death. Good night. That's Mickey in the Middle. See you next